And I was like, bam, that's it. The Hanson Brothers. I need to bring in the iconic Hanson Brothers from the movie Slapshot. Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. Why the Hanson Brothers from the infamous Slapshot hockey movie actually lived with my mom and dad and our family for 5 unruly, righteous days. You're gonna love this one, man. As you may or may not know, 20 years ago, I purchased a Junior A hockey franchise. I actually purchased the team. I was the coach, I was the general manager, and I was the marketing director / owner. And I bought this Junior A team after I had been unceremoniously fired after 2.5 years from my first pro coaching job. I came out of university. I thought I was the next Scotty Bowman, the next Mike Keenan. And 2.5 years later, I was out of pro hockey, being fired in my 3rd season. So I returned home and talked to my mom and dad about my next step on my way to the National Hockey League. And I remember out of nowhere, the opportunity came to remain at home in our neck of the woods by buying this junior hockey team that was half an hour away from where we live. And I went and I saw the owner, and I remember going through the financials of the team before I purchased it. I remember going through, last in everything. And like the great Warren Buffett says, the businesses you actually want to buy are usually on the emergency operating table. They're usually taking their last breath. You're getting them for pennies on the dollar. And if you have badass millionaire marketing skills, you have badass millionaire world building vision and work ethic, you can take these companies, some of them, not all of them, and you can resurrect them. You can literally bring them back from the dead. So this historic franchise that I bought, it had been around for 80 years. It was definitely on the emergency operating table, but I was interested in resurrecting it as a viable business and as the championship team on the ice. So, to make a short story long, I purchased the team over the next few days, few weeks, and I took on my newest challenge of taking this team that was in the outhouse to the penthouse. They were in dead last place in league attendance. They had no corporate support, no corporate sponsorship, only a handful of season tickets, and they played in the oldest barn, the oldest arena in the entire league. So everything and anything was against me and making this into a winning program. Plus, it was a dirty railway town, hard to recruit players, all this kind of stuff. So it was the perfect scenario for a badass world builder like yours, Relentless. There you go, Clifford, you're free. So what did I do? I didn't listen to all the naysayers who said, you shouldn't buy this team. It's hopeless. We don't have any fans. We have less than 100 people at a game. We have no season tickets. We have no corporate sponsorship. The team has a bad reputation, all that kind of stuff. Kind of like taking over a last place NFL team or a last place NHL team or a last place NBA. Losers aren't winners and winners aren't losers. So one of the things that we did over the course of the summer, I only had 2, maybe 3 months to turn this around before the start of my first season. And I'll remember I said, okay, we've recruited hard. We have a decent team the first season. And I put a new sound system in the arena. I renamed the arena. It was called the Memorial Center, which most boring rinks are called. I renamed it the Theater of Pain. The Theater of Pain, and I had the big theater, the white smiling mask on one side and the white frowning mask on the other. I got that idea from the band Motley Crue when their album came out at the time, and it was called Motley Crue Theater of Pain. So here on the front of this old, rink, here we have the Subway was the corporate sponsor. I sold the name of the arena to Subway for tens of thousands of dollars. Nobody even thought to do that. And here on both sides above Subway was Theater of Pain with the big white mass. I mean, these things were 35 feet tall. It was just massive. It was badass impact marketing, put it that way. So anybody that walked in that rink, it was like, holy shit, Theater of Pain. And that's how I built the culture around that team. I wanted us to be the most physical. I wanted us to probably be the most penalized. I want us to be the most feared and mentally tough team in that league. And that's one of the goals that we did accomplish over my 3 years as owner and coach. But I wanted to set that tone with the fans. It was a tough community. They took pride in their blue-collar roots. Like I said, it was a railway town. So just amazing sports fans. They just, they'd just never been given a product, never been promoted, never been advertised, never been respected. So I saw, like Warren Buffett says, I saw the unlimited potential and I went after it. So one of the things was we had the opening night coming up. And they averaged 72 people a game. 72, that's like a birthday. And I'm like, 72? So what I did is I said, we got to bring on a bang. We got to bring a bang for opening night. I got to get people back in this rink. I got to get them to check out the new sound system, the new dressing room, the new, we were doing everything. We had a mascot. We had season tickets. We were doing the whole thing. We burned this thing to the ground and we built it up over the summer. But I needed people to get to that first game. So you remember, this is 20 years ago. So I thought for a while I'd sit and think and write in my journal, who can I bring in that'll bring the house down? Who can I bring in that's unique, a celebrity, a former player, somebody that's going to help pack this rink? Because the community was indifferent. They were 100% indifferent to the team. They didn't care anymore. The team didn't care about them. Who could I bring in that would bring the house down? So after thinking for a few days, maybe even a couple weeks, it just came to me one day as I was looking through the hockey news, and maybe I was re-watching Slapshot for the 25th time, and I was like, bam, that's it. The Hanson Brothers. I need to bring in the iconic Hanson Brothers from the movie Slapshot. The most iconic hockey, wild west movie. It fits in perfect with this niche market. It fits in perfect with this community. It fits in perfect with our marketing, our advertising, and our promotion. So I went to work immediately, and it didn't take me long. I was able to find a number for their agent, and I literally called this person up, and I said, we'd like the Hanson Brothers for our opening night game on Friday night, a night in September. And I said, I need them to drop the puck. I need them to come and sign autographs. I need them to be in character. I need them to wear their jerseys. And we need to give the fans the Slapshot experience. So the guy's like, cool, no problem, Michael, it's $5,000. This is 20 years ago, and I haven't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. But I'm like, I'm a marketer. I'm like, how much can I make with that? I didn't say how much. I didn't say, oh my God, that costs a lot. I was like, how much can I make with these guys, these legends? So I agreed to it. I didn't even have the money at the time. I'm like, I think I put it on my credit card. And they say, okay, so the three Hanson Brothers, you have them for 24 hours. They'll arrive on the Friday. They'll attend the event. They'll sign some autographs. And then they'll go home. And I've hired so many celebrities through the years. Everybody, You know, I've dealt with pro coaches, I've dealt with celebrities, movie stars, I've dealt with all kinds of it. And that's the way it goes. You know, you hire them, they come in for 2 hours, they sign some autographs, and they leave. That's the way it is. I brought in the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins, the Montreal Canadiens. I've dealt with Mike Ditka. I've dealt with Claude Julien. I've dealt with my friend Dwayne Casey, all kinds of them. And most of them are really, really good guys, or I won't hire them. So anyway, the event is up. It's about time. It's Thursday before the Friday game, so one day before the event. And these guys are coming in early, right? And I mean, I'm swamped. I mean, I've got 2,000 people coming to the game. The place only holds 1,600, and they used to average 70 people a game. I sold 2,000 seats for that first game before the game. I've sold 200 season ticket holders, and they used to have like parents and grandparents, a handful. So we got a good base. We got 200 season ticket holders. We got 2,000 people coming for this first game with the Hanson Brothers, and our team is looking pretty decent. So I'm getting ready. So the promoter calls me and he goes, Michael, he goes, the boys are going to come in a day early. They're from the United States. He says, can you pick them up at the airport on Thursday? And he says, you know, they're going to be there a day early. They're happy to help out with anything. Remember those words. They're happy to help out with anything. I'm like, great, this is fantastic. I mean, I said at the movie theater that night in this town, they were having a showing of the movie Slapshot. So the night before the game, all of a sudden, we have this great promotion at the local theater where they're showing the movie Slapshot a couple of times in the evening. It allows people, you know, it renews their memory and helps them think about it and all this kind of stuff. So that was really, really cool. So anyways, the promoter's like, they can go to the movie theater if you'd like, and, you know, and shake some hands and do some autographs and all this other stuff. And I'm like, great. So I send my younger brother, David, to pick them up at the Ottawa airport because I don't have time. I'm getting ready for the movie tonight. I'm getting ready for the home opener the night after. So literally my brother drives down to Ottawa and he's waiting in the terminal for these guys to come through customs, right? He's never met them. He doesn't know what the you know, he thinks they're probably pretty regular guys. The three Hansons, right? I mean, it's a show. It's a show they put on, right? They're no different than any of us. They do their thing. They have their character. So, oh no. My brother's standing there waiting for them in the airport, and boom, the security doors open at the airport. And who walks through carrying gray military duffel bags, like hockey bags, on each shoulder, okay? Unlit cigarettes in all three mouths, okay? They got everything on except for the black glasses. They have everything on that they have in their character except for the black glasses, okay? And the foil on their knuckles. And these three renegades come through the door. And they're like, my brother has a little sign there, Hanson Brothers, right? So they're like, hey, and they introduce themselves. They're big guys, big physical guys. You have to remember that these men played pro hockey. They played minor pro hockey. So back in the day, they were good athletes. So they're like, hey, Dave. And my brother's like stunned. He's like, holy shit. These guys, like, they're never out of character, it appears. So they get outside there, they light the cigarettes, and they got their duffel bags, and they throw their stuff in the back of the truck. And my brother has to drive an hour back to Perth, okay, where I'm going to put these guys up in a hotel. Well, he said it was the most insane, and my brother doesn't, he's not one of these guys who's like, tells things that aren't true, or he's not a guy who's easily impressed. He's like, Michael, He shows up at the rink. He goes, that was the craziest fucking ride of my life. He said 2 of them were in the back seat with the windows down. He said the one brother, Jeff, was in the front. He said they smoked the whole way. They piled their duffel bags in there. He says at one point, the guys in the back were covering his eyes like this when he was driving on the freeway. My brother's driving on the freeway, and these guys are covering his eyes when he's driving. Like, we're talking children, right? The funniest stuff ever, long as you're not driving. So my brother's like, these guys are insane. And he says they're in character all the time. So I'm like, yeah, I know. So they're going to the theater that night and all that stuff. So we go to the theater that night, and there's the showing of the movie Slapshot. The place is jam-packed. You got 600 people in this theater. And the movie's going along, and we're all enjoying it. And, I think the Hanson Brothers are back at the hotel. Maybe they're going to be out front. I asked them to sign some autographs. Right in the middle of the show, the movie, they come running out on the stage, once again, in full character. So the movie's still playing, and they're up on the stage. They're in front of the curtain, and the screen is there. So the movie's going on. People are watching the movie, and you have these 3 lunatics, absolute lunatics up there like this, and people are loving it. They're going crazy because they're like, oh, they're wearing their jerseys, the Charlestown Chiefs. And people are going apeshit for this stuff, They're eating it up. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I don't know whether to, I'm like, this is incredible. Like, this is more than I even thought. So, we get through the movie night. They sign all kinds of autographs out where you get the popcorn. Just amazing, amazing guys with you can tell they're pros, right? You can tell they do this all the time. So I'm like, that was really cool. I appreciate the extra time, and we got the game tomorrow. Oh, no, they're not done. These guys are like, Michael, where's the rink? And I'm like, well, the rink's 15 minutes, 10 minutes from here. Take us to the rink. We want to say hi to the beer league guys. So this is like 10 o'clock at night. So the beer leagues is the old guys that rent the ice, and they play a little bit of shinny for an hour, and then they drink a few beers after beer league, right? And most of these guys are like 50 plus. So they know these guys from growing up, right? They know the movie Slapshot. They know the Hanson Brothers. So we go in this rink, and I thought, they would just look at, wave to a few people. Oh, no. They go in the locker room after with the guys. There's like 25 guys in this locker room. Some of these guys are older, and they've played their game. In walk the Hansons, once again in full character. Sit down, and they start drinking. I shouldn't say drinking. Start chugging beer with these guys. And it's just one story after another, right? One story after another. Paul Newman's a pussy, and I ran that movie, and the cigarette smoking and stuff. Just legends. Absolutely legends. And these old guys are eating it up. Like, you know what? On a Thursday night, they're usually, bored stiff. All of a sudden, the Hanson Brothers come smashing through your door and start sitting down and telling you stories about Eddie Shore and the old Charlestown Chiefs and working with Paul Newman and all. Just insanity, but just eating it up, right? See you at the game tomorrow. So I get through that first 12 hours with the Hansons. I'm like, okay, I got a hockey game tomorrow to win. We got the place sold out. I don't know what these guys are going to do. I tried to ask them. They're like, we're going to ski behind the Zamboni. And I was like, you're going to what? And they're like, we're going to ski behind that Zamboni, Michael. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I went home. And I was like, okay, so they're going to whatever they're going to do. So the night comes, the next night. The place is packed. I have a picture of the people around the front of the arena. It was legendary. It's something I'll keep on my wall for the rest of my life. We took this team from last place to first place in attendance in 3 months. We took the team, they were horseshit on the ice. We improved the product that first year. And this was the place to be, not just in this town, but in all the towns around. And we sold 200 season tickets. It was rocking. It was the place to be. The Hanson Brothers are here for the opening night game. And everything went great, right? Like we won the game 5-0. People had a great time. The beer was flowing. The canteen made all kinds of money. But I'll never forget the first intermission. I'm in there talking to the players, giving them their plan for the second period, right? And my assistant coach, he comes in. He goes, Michael. He goes, you won't believe this. He goes. These fucking crazy guys are water skiing behind the Zamboni. They go, they're doing the ice, and these guys literally brought their own skis. I don't know where they had them or how they had them. And here's 2 of the 3 behind the Zamboni water skiing at like 2 miles an hour. And the crowd is eating it up. And they're throwing CDs into the crowd, music CDs into the crowd. They got their glasses on, they got their foil on their hands. I mean, the place, they're eating it up. So the intermissions clearly belong to them. And the next intermission, they did more of the same. I mean, just insane. They literally would have signed 2,000 autographs because everybody in this rink had to leave the same exit. And who's at the exit? The three brothers. And they're just like photos, autographs. And I'm talking pro. These guys treat everybody with respect. They get a smile out of everybody. They joke with everybody. They use everybody's first name. Unreal professionalism behind it all, but never out of character. So I'm like, okay, that was fantastic. And we hit the bars after. I go out to a pub downtown. You know, I'm not going to take a breather. We don't play for a couple days. What an amazing event, right? So I got these three yahoos with me and my assistant coaches. So we go down for a pint of Guinness and whatever. And these guys are in this bar and it's packed. My friend owns the bar, Rob Roy's at the time. And it's packed. And in walk the three Hanson brothers. They still have their jerseys on. They still have their eyeglasses on, the black glasses. They still have the foil on. And one of them, Jeff, he puts his arm around me. He goes, Mike, he goes, never paid for a drink in my entire adult life. Never paid for a drink in my entire adult life. And I'm like, okay, cigarette dangling, the whole thing. And honest to God, he was telling the truth. It was just drink after drink in there. They walk up to the bar, they get served, people are buying them drinks, people are patting them on the back, people are hugging them, people are getting photos with them, the whole enchilada, the whole 9 yards. And these guys, then we go to a second bar, the same thing. They're the entire show. They just come through the door, they walk through the line, they walk through security, they don't even ask, and they just walk right into the pub or the bar, and they're the show. So I'm like, this is amazing for the community because some of these guys were at the game and all that stuff's fantastic. So I was like, okay, this is great. So on Saturday morning, they're having a radio show. There's a radio station, FM frequency in the community. So the guy wants to interview the Hansons if we can on Saturday, the morning. This is the morning after. And I'm like, guys, listen, I know you're heading back, but is there any way you could do a quick radio interview tomorrow morning before you head back to the States? No problem, Mike. No problem. We'll take care of it. Don't worry. Mike's a mess. We got you, Mike. We take care of you, Michael. And I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, okay, guys, I'll pick you up at the hotel at 8:30 in the morning and we'll go over to the radio station. You can do a quick interview, a debriefing of the night before, which was a tremendous success, and you guys can be on your way. And they're like, yeah, that's a plan. That's a winning plan, Michael. And so I leave these guys in their hotel room. I drop them off. They don't have a car. I'm driving them everywhere, right? So I pick them up the next morning at 8:30 in the morning. And once again, they're cigarettes out of their mouth smoking. They've got these jerseys on. They've got everything on. And this time they got the glasses and the foil on. They literally sat there in their hotel room that morning and put foil on each other's hands. Like, it's insane. So we go through this and the whole thing. And I take them over to the radio station. And, you know, it's a really popular Saturday morning. You know, there's a guy who runs the thing and he does his Saturday morning show and it's kind of sports and community related. So we're walking in, right? It's a cubicle, big office where the guy's on the radio and it's soundproof, right? So we walk in and I'm just about to walk in. I introduce the Hanson brothers to this guy and I'm like, hey, Ron, these are the boom, 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 boom. And you know what they do? They grab him by the back of the shirt and they push him out of the sound booth and they push me out of the way and they grab the door and they slam it shut and lock it. I'm not kidding. There's live radio, FM at this time, lots of thousands of listeners, and they take the guy that's running the show, they grab him by the t-shirt, they toss him out in the hallway, in the office area, they go in, the DJ, the sound booth, the DJ booth, and they lock the door. So think about this for a second. We now have, in our community, the three Hanson brothers running the morning radio show. I'm not kidding. It's like they've done this before. Door's locked. I'm on the door. I'm like, come on, guys, that's funny. Let's go, whatever. Oh, no. And they know how to run things. Think about that for a second. They know how to run things. So the music, the song ends, and they get on there. And I wish I would have had a recording of this. So then they get on there and they do their spiel for probably 3, 4, 5 minutes before they play another song. And, you know, they're in there on the soundboard. You should have heard it. They're talking about the game. They're talking about their careers. They're talking about working with Paul Newman. They're talking about the movie. I mean, incredible. Nobody would know that they had just kicked the DJ out. Nobody would know that they locked themselves in the sound booth. So finally, after a few minutes, they get out of there. They open up the door. And they let us back in, and the DJ guy, he's pissed, eh? Like, he's like, that was my thing, you know? And they're like, out of the way, right? Out of the way. Not afraid to put their hands on anybody, by the way. It's all about, you know, for them. So in character. So I get back in the vehicle with them, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is insane. I got to get these guys out of my community. I can't babysit them forever like this, right? So they're like, well, nice seeing you, Michael. We appreciate it. Take care. I think my brother was gonna take them back to the airport, and that's it. That's a tremendous success. Guys are a little crazy, but hey, it worked. Oh no. So I'm out at my parents' house, and I get a phone call from a friend, Lisa, and she runs a Ford dealership. She's one of my title sponsors for the team. She literally is my top sponsor. She owns and operates a Ford dealership. And she says to me, she goes, Michael, I just want to let you know that I loaned those guys that truck or that vehicle, and they'll be back in a day. And I was like, who will what? And they're like, the Hanson Brothers. They were just in the dealership. And obviously they knew that she was the title sponsor because it was everywhere, right? They didn't talk to me about any of this. She goes, well, they came in the dealership and they asked they said that you would like us to loan us a car. Not rent, loan us a car. So I loaned them one of my new cars, and they've gone to Syracuse. They've gone to Syracuse to watch one of their sons play. One of their sons was playing in a Division I hockey game. So on Saturday afternoon, these guys leave Canada, cross the border in a loan car from a Ford dealership. And I was like, Lisa, well, I appreciate that. I didn't even say anything to her. I was like, okay, I appreciate that. So again, to make a short story long, finally, these guys get back that night, Saturday night. It's like midnight. And I'm like, guys, you know what? You told me that you didn't tell me any about this. You went down, you went back to Syracuse. They're back at their hotel staying, even though like they're not supposed to be staying. They're supposed to be gone, right? So they're like, Mike, can we stay another night? I'm like, guys, you can stay another night. I'm getting this all sponsored, right? So I'm like, yes, you can spend one night, return the vehicle. So I take the vehicle back. I get that vehicle out. I don't want them to have a vehicle. And so they're like, yep. I said, this is the last night. So you would think, I said, you guys, my brother will drive you back to the airport tomorrow. And that was a great weekend. Nope, not good enough. They get up on Sunday, okay, and they do their thing, and I don't see them that day, but they're eating breakfast, they have their lunch, they don't pay for anything, right, because they're these massive celebrities. And all of a sudden, I get a call later that day, which was the Sunday night, and my brother David calls me, and he's like, you won't believe this. He says, I'm out at Mom and Dad's, and he goes, guess who I have with me? And I'm like, I don't know. Who do you have with you? And he's like, I got those fucking Hanson Brothers with me. And I'm like, you got who? And he's like, they're out here at Mom and Dad's, and they're sitting at the kitchen table, and they're having dinner with Mom and Dad. And I'm like, the Hanson Brothers. And he's like, oh yeah. So I hop in my truck, and I drive, over to my parents, and I walk in the kitchen. I'm like, hey, lads. They're like, hey, coach, how are you? Coach is a mess. Here they are finishing up a home-cooked meal for my mom. And the first thing they can say before I get a chance to say, why are you here? Why are you at my parents' house? Why are you still in the country? They're like, yeah, Frank and Eva were kind enough to let us stay here. And I'm like, stay here? They're like, yeah, we're sleeping up in Dave's bed. We're sleeping up in your old room. And I'm like, Mom and Dad said you could now stay here. They're like, we're going to stay here. They're like, yeah, they're the best. They're the best. And literally, okay, and I have a picture of this that I got to dig up somewhere. Literally, they have a picture with my mom in a headlock in a fun way. But they have my mom, who was like 75 at the time, in a headlock. They have her picture with her with the jersey on. So They lived at my parents'. I believe it was just the one night, but it could have been two. And I do have that final photo of them. They finally drove home. They didn't fly out. They drove home. I got them a rental car. And that's where we took the picture. My mom in the headlock, me in the head, punching me in the face. And that was my final picture. And that was Monday or Tuesday. So we had the Hanson Brothers. Not only did they supercharge my new hockey team into the stratosphere, but they also stayed for 5 days, including, it was either 1 or 2 nights with my parents, like literally sleeping upstairs in our old bedrooms, showering, doing laundry, smoking, eating, the whole thing. Sitting with my dad, reading the newspaper in the morning, the Hanson Brothers. So I've hired a lot of celebrities. I've been around a lot of pro coaches, a lot of pro athletes. It's just second nature to me, but I can honestly say that was the craziest group I've ever been around before. The craziest. There's nobody even close. There's nobody close. Not George Foreman, not Don Shula, not Mike Ditka, not Wendell Clark, not Doug Gilmore, not Bobby Orr, not Raymond Bork, all pros. But these guys were from a different planet. And the point I wanted to make in this video is what those guys taught me is one thing. We're all in the same business. We're all in the same business, which to me is the personality business. They're all in the Hanson Brother business. There's no other business. They're not in the slap shop business. They're in the Hanson Brother business. And they were paid $5,000 per gig. They said they did 200 a year. Now they'd be paid $25,000 a gig. And they're in the Hanson Brother business, period. There's no other business they're in. They're not in the entertainment business. You're not in the restaurant business. You're not in the insurance business. I was never in the hockey business. I was never in the barbershop business. I'm not even in the coaching and consulting business. I'm in the Michael McLean business. I'm in the Michael McLean business. And, you know, Walt Disney, it even goes down to naming your company, is great iconic brands, whether it's Ford, whether it's Disney, whether it's Trump, whether it's, you know, like even guys like Elon are in the Elon Musk business. You know, Steve Jobs was in the Steve Jobs business. Tony Robbins is in the Tony Robbins business. When you use your personal name and your personal identity and all these other things, people want to do business with somebody they know, like, and trust. So it's pretty hard to know, like, and trust a boring, stale, and dull corporate brand. So that's the difference that I learned from the Hanson Brothers. When I owned that team, it was the Michael McLean business. When I own my barbershop franchise now, I'm in the Michael McLean business. My coaching, my books, my world building, my videos, I'm in the Michael McLean business. And you need to apply that as much as possible to your business, what business you're in. You're not in the business of the doer of the thing. You're not in the flooring company business. You're never in the car wash business. You're never in the golf business. You're never in the retail store business. You're never in the dentistry business. You're in the, Bill Smith business. You're in the Paul Jordan business. And then you act accordingly. And that's where I believe you separate yourself from the mass 91%. When you step out and you use your personality in all your marketing, all your advertising, and all of your promotion. I see businesses called, like funny names like ABC this, and I'm like, I don't even know what that company does. Or this silly zip something, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. My dad's insurance company was called Frank M. McLean Insurance. Great name, his name plus what we do. And then when I bought it, I changed it to the McLean Insurance, 2 words. Anybody and everybody that sees that knows exactly what we do. McLean Insurance. And I really like the Frank M. McLean Insurance because he was in the Frank M. McLean Insurance business. Think about that in everything you do, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're in the real estate business, whether you're an entrepreneur or businessman like I am. How can you be in your business? How can you use your personal name? You got to get comfortable with it. You can't be like, I didn't want to do any of this stuff. I didn't want to be in the Michael McLean business. I'd rather be in the obscurity business. I'd rather just sit out here at the lake. But if I want to have a successful business, my marketing, my promotion, if I want to stand out from the general public 99%, then I've got to be in the Michael McLean business. The Michael McLean business. Every one of these videos is from Michael McLean. Every fax is from Michael McLean. Every telegram is from Michael McLean. Every newsletter is written from Michael McLean. Every mastermind meeting is Michael McLean. And that's how you do it with personality marketing. That's what the three Hanson brothers taught me about the importance, first of all, of marketing, the importance of never, ever, ever being out of character, being authentic who you are. If you're sitting here on the boat with me, I'm the exact same person as I am in these videos. That way I never have to come in and out of character, none of that Hollywood horse shit. I am who I am. I talk the same way off camera as in camera. I talk the same way in masterminds or group settings. I'm authentic. And that's another marketing tip. They were authentic. They weren't like this show. I thought they were, but they weren't. That's who they are. That's who those guys are. So their life is seamless. There's that word, seamless. You want to build a world, you want it seamless. So you can't pretend to be somebody during the day at work and then be somebody else different. Make it all seamless. Make it, the Michael McLean business, the Jim Smith business, the Bill Gaw business, the Jimmy LaFave business, whatever you're doing. And then people love to deal with a real live person they can connect and trust with. That's it for today. If you want a copy of my controversial new book, go to nobullbook.com. That book is How to Not Get Your Ass Kicked in Business and Life. Also, you can subscribe to my October newsletter at badassletter.com. That's $97 a month. That's a physical paper and ink newsletter, Michael McLean World Building Letter. That's it for today. I wanted to share that tremendous story from 20 years ago. What an incredible learning experience having those guys around. And at the end of the day, they were true pros. But man, they were congruent, they were authentic, and they were in the Hanson brother business. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll change your life. Be relentless.